Everybody, it's Steph from the High Moon Podcast. So, real quick, shout out to Global Prenup and Brandon Jamal for doing this podcast. I'll link the vid in the description. But look, Brandon Jamal deserves to defend himself after the FreshandFit debacle. I was strong in my opinion, just like many other people out here who cover this. As it relates to what transpired on the show. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's hear what he had to say. Now he does two parts, okay? First part just gives the origin story of just kind of how everything transpired for him to, try to get on the podcast. Just some time discrepancies, some financial issues, I believe, that they were gonna pay for his flight, but and offer him a hotel, but they weren't gonna pay him. So they kept in contact, his peoples, their peoples, and eventually, when he was in town on some other personal business, he decides to stop by the FreshandFit podcast, and we know what had transpired. After all of that, right? Definitely not a good look, but the brother deserves to defend himself. So, here's I'm gonna play an interesting clip of the video, part two. That I found interesting, but just pay attention to just how he is, right? And you see why this is a problem, right?
What's the word?
You're on a podcast. You didn't have to raise your hand. Yeah, you could have just talked.
Because I've got a good I'm perceptive.
Okay.
I pay a lot of attention to details. They had the chat going the whole time while I was walking.
Right.
So you couldn't tell I was watching the chat. 'Cause I'm engaged. I'm a professional. But they had the chat going the whole time. The chat said, even though I was right going on in this bitch, their chat was telling me to calm down. Yeah, their chat was on the screen.
Well, yeah, considering how you were acting, you were. It's almost like you were forcing a takeover of the show with your behavior, right? The FreshandFit chat, it can get pretty rowdy, but they're definitely aware of what's going on, man. And yeah, Myron has a short fuse, and that's what happened. They saw the potential Frank Castle, even though technically he left on his own. I would still count this as a Frank Castle because I don't know how he would stay on the show if he was going to keep going on how he was going on. I think, man, we saw it and realized we were watching these clips unfold. I'm sure the guys that paid and saw this in real time knew this was coming.
Even though I was right, they were telling me to calm down, so I did.
But you weren't that calm.
Yeah. He did not calm down. I call cap on that one 1,000%. If anything, he turned it up even more. And then he goes on to explain how that he was raising his hand like he's in school.
No, right?
This is very calm. When you want to chime in and you do this. When you have a lot to say and you do this, I think that's calm.
Do you feel that? That maybe they would have gotten to you if it just...
We're going to see the tape.
Yeah.
There were so many times where I would do this. But then I would, if somebody was cooking, as a matter of fact, this is all I wanted when I raised my hand. You know how if something's happening in class and you raise your hand and the teacher goes, that's all I wanted from anybody.
The way he was raising the hand, it was still very childish how he was doing it. Look, a lot of times you can just be like, hey, Myron, like I've seen guests say, hey, Myron, I want to get a point in real quick, and then they'll let him talk, and then Myron will acknowledge, and he'll actually tell the other people to be quiet. Myron says it's very hard to run a show like that with multiple people, and for the most part, Myron has done a good job of manning the pit, so to say. And look, Brandon Jamal said he's watched FreshandFit. He's aware of them, obviously, but I don't think he fully seen how Myron runs the show, and that's entirely his fault for not understanding the platform you're going to and how they run their business. And you being a guest should have done your homework as well in that regard.
You wanted to be called in right away, or
No,
just at some point, or
no, to acknowledge that I got something to say. So when they finish, let Brandon speak, since he's the guest of honor. Mm-hmm. But there were so many times where I had my hand raised, I put my hand down.
He keeps saying guest of honor, guest of honor. See, man, and that's the problem, man. You know, when these guys blow up, man, they just take these titles and run with it. You know what I'm saying? You are a guest, okay? All right, cool. Like, you have a viral video, you know, you're growing on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are talking about you, I'm talking about you. Like, you keep saying guest of honor. Like it's really, it's almost kind of like he's become, in his mind, everywhere he goes, he feels like he's a guest of honor. I'm not saying you can't have confidence and believe that you're an A-lister in your own mind, but I mean, you really don't need to keep saying that out loud, right? I mean, I do believe there's a healthy level of confidence that everybody should have about themselves, but not to the point of delusional confidence, or you think you're bigger than what people actually perceive you to be.
Somebody would talk, somebody else would talk, somebody else would talk. I'm just like, I guess I'm not the guest of honor.
So what happened? So you lost it? I mean, or how people would say that?
I was not paid to be there, so I didn't have no patience from the beginning.
Aha. Now we get to the crux of it, right? It wasn't paid to be there. Already agitated. I mean, if he was already there on separate business, you know, as he's mentioned before, he was already in Miami, and it just happened to work out that you're able to stop by. Okay, cool, right? I mean, look, man, like, I understand in content creation, it is cool to collab with people. All right, it's dope, you know, when you can do that. But sometimes everything is not about getting a check, right? There's plenty of people that are way bigger than him that make appearances, you know, and show visibility for free to get additional visibility back, right? Or therefore they can share each other's visibility on each other's platform. You know, I remember I was watching Shannon Sharp's Nightcap on Wednesday, and they had Gilbert Arenas on there, who has his own podcast and everything. And they were talking about something very in the lines of this, is that Gilbert Arenas doesn't get paid to do Nightcap, but he's banking on Shannon's continued success. Therefore, some of that can rub off on him down the road in the back end. You know, as Shannon profile grows, Gilbert Arenas gets to be a part of that, get some of that viewership back as well, and could benefit him a lot, man. Sometimes in business, it's not about getting direct dollar for dollar exchange. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to see the bigger picture, you know. But I mean, for a man who's 36 years old and who's displayed immaturity, it seemed like he's just trying to quickly cash in on social media. And sometimes the social media game, you play the long haul. It's the long game, not the short game, right? You establish early relationships where it can net you bigger later. But like you said, he was already ticked off that he didn't get paid for showing up on a big platform on FreshandFit with their big audience.
Yeah.
But I'm still being cordial and extremely professional, you know, nigga, I'm wearing a tie. So I'm in there.
You were not being cordial and professional. You know, I'm sorry, Brandon. You know, the moment you started talking and getting into it with the girls, particularly the one girl, all that professionalism went out the window, right? You started listing off your stats and all that stuff. You know, when she challenged you about who you are, you know, she made the joke about, you know, you tried making fun of her about, you know, not finishing school or barely completing school or something like that. And that really ticked you off. Like, she's saying that you were in the same boat as her. You know, a subtle shot. It was hilarious. You know, I thought you had a funnier comeback, but you just got more emotional.
I got the woman who I was going at it with. I would never entertain a conversation with her in the real world. She's sprouting this word vomit.
You would never entertain a conversation in the real world. I mean, I know it's FreshandFit, but I mean, a lot of those girls represent the current. Many men wouldn't tune in to watch FreshandFit if they didn't encounter those type of women on a regular basis. You know, high expectations, multiple kids, want a man that's over 6 feet, 6 figures. They want a man they want to build a man. They want a man that brings everything to the table when they bring nothing back, right? You will encounter it. I mean, no offense to him. He said he's a waiter. You know, I'm sure it depends on the restaurant. Maybe it's an affluent restaurant. I'm sure you know, those type of people come through. You know what I'm saying? So again, putting himself like he's already putting himself in a certain class, as if he doesn't even engage with these type of people. These people are beneath him that he's arguing with. If that person was beneath you, why would you argue that hard with in the first place? You know that their mind is stuck in a place that's not going to change, you know, and then you can just simply wait to speak your point. And that's it. You don't have to get in this back and forth sparring session with a 24-year-old as you're 36.
I don't have shit to say to this idiot. And part of my frustration was Fresh and Fit kept entertaining this idiot. You are grown.
That's another thing you don't understand. That's the whole point of the night show, right? They bring on, Fresh and Fit bring on the same kind of girls. Well, they brought 3,000 girls to the show. Majority of them are the same. They all have the similar thinking. Okay, but the whole point is why it's repetitive. I don't know why. I think we got enough, but they have the show is repetitive to show that this is the modern thinking of modern women, right? And they have these arguments and these discussions to prove how delusional they are, right? And they joke about it. They have back and forth. They catch them in their lies, all that type of stuff. That's why Myron takes the notes and everything like that. It's the whole point, you know? And then you are, as a guest, because of your viral song, think that, okay, you know, you're RP aware to a certain extent. If you're going to make a song like that and goes viral, you know, you're already on a podcast on the Global Prenup already. So, okay, I'm sure, you know, in a non-music setting, you know, I think Brandon Jamal could contribute to the conversation. You know, he seemed very eloquent at the time, and now not so much.
Own millionaire men, and I thought y'all were the bitch checkers.
But okay, no,
that's what I thought.
But a rebuttal to that would be, it is their podcast.
Exactly, man. Yo, guys, man. You know, y'all watch the rest of the full clip, but you see his demeanor, right? I mean, he still feels full of himself, and this is. I'm really not trying to pile on Brandon Jamal, you know, because I understand, you know, when you know, I never had his success. I'll admit that. I'm just a dusty YouTuber, but you know, we can provide commentary and analyze this because I'm sure a lot of my viewers are men as well, and not only do I talk about sports, but you know, I'm sure a lot of my audience, you know, watch sports, but also follow, you know, male-driven content, especially male-driven dating content in the RP space. And it's just kind of like, yo, like when you see a dude like Brandon Jamal, you know, come into the scene, you're like, okay, this could be, you know, okay, I'm rooting for him. You know, I want to see him successful, right? I want to see him maximize his 15 minutes of fame. And, you know, fast forward, it's just like, wow, boy, was I duped, right? You know, it's like he just wants a quick buck. I mean, a lot of the jokes I've seen other people talk about it. Shout out to MTR that did a couple of vids about this. You know, it's just, you know, the comments I've seen, it's just kind of like, yo, a lot of the jokes was he was acting like a single mother, right? He was acting in a certain manner of in the way that he portrayed, you know, he's portraying single mother tendencies the way he was acting. You know, he made that song and it's kind of like, hey, that song about you, right? You know, this is crazy, man. And, you know, I feel it. Look, you want to burn bridges early, go ahead and do so. You know, I think a lot of times in business, sometimes it's cool. You can get far ahead on your own. You don't need people, but sometimes having people and being able to work with people can help you go a little further than just doing it alone. You know, once you've established some credibility in space, and it seemed like he was establishing some credibility, and then all that gets tossed out the window, man. Like there's very few people that's been supportive of this. You know, and if you're supporting Brandon Jamal, cool. You can support who you want to support. You know, I'm not trying to knock this man hustle, but people got to be aware of people like Brandon Jamal that come into the scene and it seems like it's about me, attention. You know, always listing off stats. You know who I am. I will never talk to these type of people. You know, upset that you didn't get paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is business. At the end of the day, it's cool. The cameras, the attention, the likes, the subscribes, all that stuff, all fine and dandy. But people have business to run. Not everybody can get paid, so you have to take visibility as payment, being on the platform as payment, and think forward. Be forward thinking. It seemed like he's in the now and not being cognizant of that, man. Very disappointed, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. I'll have the links to the vids. Shout out to Gold Peanut for this podcast, and Brandon Jamal, I'll credit you for coming out here at least. Hey, I disagree a lot. I think there's some problems with you, but you went out there and addressed it in the manner you felt was best, man. Anyways, y'all leave me your thoughts, man. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'm out.